G'day beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. Today we're looking at Serath. We're going to be looking at her stats, her scaling, her abilities, and my build guide. So I hope you go on to find this useful. If you do, please drop me a like down below, leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and subscribe for more Paragon content. But with that out of the way, let's get into it. Alright, getting straight into it. Serath, Marauder, Attacker, Elusive, Assassin, Durable. Okay, Durable only really comes into account when you add her ability to Lifesteal. She's Order and Corruption, she's an Expert difficulty, and it's not hard to see why. She has 8 for basic attack, 6 for ability, 2 for durability, and 5 for mobility. She starts off with 475 health and ends up at 1371 at level 15. Health regen is 1.5 to 4.3. Mana is 225 to 897, but we're not going to need much of that anyway. Her mana regen is 0.8 to 2.48, not going to need much of that either. She is actually the first melee hero to have base armor at 46 because she's classed as a carry, so she gets a carry's base armor, which is pretty good. She is quite squishy, so she needs it. And at ability armor, as per usual, everyone has 30.5. Okay, taking a look at her basic attack, which is called Angelic Smite. The basic attack damage is really good, 55 damage as a standard, and it ends up at 77.4 at level 15 with no power on it. Speaking of power, she has a 1.0 power scaling. That means if you put 100 power on your build, there will be 100 damage added to her attack. Has a cooldown of 1.2, which is not too bad, and she gets 1.6 power, or 1.6 damage rather, to her ability per level, and it has a 10% cleave. Next up we have Ascend, her first ability, rise into the air and then rapidly dive back down, traveling and dealing ability damage to a target area. Does 75 ability damage at the first level and 210 at max, costs 75 and 90 at max, covers 1200 units, has power scaling of 0.5, which means you get 50 damage for every 100 power you put on. It has a flat cooldown of 12 seconds. It's really good for engaging, re-engaging, getting away, getting to hard to reach places. You can also use it in conjunction with Heaven's Fury. So right there I just clicked Heaven's Fury, clicked confirm, and then instantly pressed my circle to start Ascend. The moment that the ability Heaven's Fury actually finished and I'd hit the last minion, she immediately shot up into the air and I was able to use it. So you can use it in that way to make it easier to get away. Next up we have Chastise. Serath sweeps her wings in front of her, dealing AoE ability damage and applying her movement speed slow, which is absolutely garbage. It starts off doing 60 damage, ends up at 180, which is okay. The mana cost is okay, 55 to 70. The movement speed slow is good, 120 to 360. The power scaling is 0.5 again, and it has a flat cooldown of 10 seconds. Only problem is you have to be right in fucking front of them, and it doesn't have a very big arc as to where it hits them, so you kind of got to be close enough to actually hit them to be able to slow them. Next up we have Heaven's Fury. This is her bread and butter. Serath hovers in place and hits each target in an area with a ghostly slash. Each slash deals basic attack damage, one target at a time with a delay between each attack. Serath is immune to damage and crowd control during this ability. Okay, now it does 100% of whatever your basic attack is. It has a 0.2 second delay between each enemy hit. And the cooldown starts at 24 seconds, and each level actually knocks 6 seconds off, taking it to 6 seconds. It also can crit and apply lifesteal, so it's an amazing ability. You, at the end of your build with a bit of lifesteal and a bit of crit, hitting say 600, you can instantly hit a mob of like 10 minions and get all your health back in the middle of a team fight. Lastly, we have Heresy. Serath lets her dark side take over, and abilities now apply a burn effect, which creates a weakness aura around affected enemies. Enemies who are burning also take additional damage from Serath's basic attacks. It does 30 damage at the start and 60 at the end. It costs 75 mana flat. It does 25 extra damage per hit at max level with a power scaling of 0.1. Which applies to your ability damage, The cooldown ends up at 60 seconds at max level, and the bonus basic damage scaling is 0.25. Okay, so that 0.25 applies to the additional damage done while burning, and the 0.1 applies to the ability damage when you initially hit the ability. Okay, so now let's go and have a look at my build choice for Serath. Alright, here we are guys, as you can see, 24 of 40. We're starting off with the Warlord Prime card. I like to take 2 strike tokens and a healer token. Obviously we're starting with 1 strike token and then a healer token. As you may notice, I only actually have 5 cards in here. The reason for that is that the 6th card is entirely up to you in the way that you want to build her. I have my strong recommendation as to what you should take, but apart from that, it's completely up to you. Now, I run my Sage's Ward that I have on this build with 3 major casts. The point behind that is that it only has a 1 point fully upgraded bonus, so why bother making it a cheap card? Next up, we have a Spear of the Rift Hunter with 3 major wounds, giving us 48% crit chance. A Void Steel Dagger with 3 strikes, which is probably the first major card that I will take. Next up we have Curse of the Leech with 2 drains and a minor cast, giving us 20 lifesteal for another 9 point card. And of course Blade of Agora for that crit bonus with 3 minor casts. Now you could go for a different crit bonus card if you wanted to, but there aren't really that many really good options, so I just stick with Blade of Agora. Now we need to work out a 6th card to put with this. There are a few good options to go for. You could do pretty much anything you wanted here, but what I generally go for is a Whirling Wand to get a bunch of attack speed. I'll normally put 3 kinetics on there. The reason behind this is that I get to 1.5, 150% attack speed. So generally, if you were to replace that with full damage, you might hit sort of 700 damage on your attacks. I might hit less, but my attack speed is going to be higher, so therefore my actual DPS will be higher. Now what I'm doing here in the background is just changing it around a little bit, just because the 2 12s and 4 9s is it's a bit of an outdated way to build and people tend to not like it. So if you want to do it this way, you can. Sage's Ward with 3 minor casts. Put your Void Steel Dagger on as a 12 point card, and then change this bad boy over to a 12 point card with 2 major kinetics and a major cast. So that would be the build that we would actually end up with. Okay, Sage's Ward 6 point, Spear of the Rift Hunter with 3 major wounds, Void Steel Dagger with 3 major strikes, Whirling Wand with 2 major kinetics and a major strike, a Curse of the Leech with 2 drains and a minor strike, and a Blade of Agora with 3 minor strikes. Okay, now some other options that I can give you would, instead of the Whirling Wand, would be something like Blood-Soaked Armor, which you can see in the background, which you could put on with your kinetics, or you could run armor as well. She's already got a bit of armor as well. You could, if you had that as a excuse me, if you had that as a 12 point card, you would end up over 100 armor. You'd have somewhere around 120, 130 armor, which is decent but probably not worthwhile running. So I would go with what we have here. As I said, you can replace the Whirling Wand if you want, but that's going to be your best bet. You're going to do disgusting damage with this build, so I hope you really like it. Give it a go, tell me what you think, leave me a like down below if you do like it, leave me a dislike if you don't like it. Pretty sure it's a good build, so I don't know why you do that. But subscribe for more content, guys. There's going to be plenty more coming out now. I've got my new computer and I'm all set up, ready to go. So as per usual, thank you so much for watching. I love your face, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.